Good morning, everyone. We're so pleased to gather today to talk about the Equality Act with small business owners and Representative Sharice Davids, who is a member of the House Small Business Committee, and of course, the United States Congress. We're first one is to start out and just once again, thank you all for joining today. And I would like to hand it over to the Congresswoman. Sharice Davids is an American attorney and is also representing Kansas's 3rd congressional district since 2019. We're so pleased to have you here today, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kala. I appreciate you leading the conversation today, and also thanks to everybody for both the welcome and for having this meeting and participating here. I know there's some small business owners joining us today to share their perspective, and I'm definitely appreciative of that too. I'm Sharice Davids. I have the honor of representing the Kansas 3rd Congressional District. In my first term, when committee assignments were being decided, I was thinking a lot about where I might be able to make the most impact as a legislator. And I was really excited to join the Small Business Committee because I felt like it was the perfect place to both tackle the big issues in our economy and also make an impact on everyday folks and the everyday lives of folks. And, on the committee, I've examined issues leading to unequal access to capital. I've investigated the opportunities and challenges faced by entrepreneurs and small business owners. And in this term, I was named the chair of the subcommittee, chair of the subcommittee on economic growth, tax, and capital access, which gives me more power to explore those issues more deeply. I'm also the co-chair of the Equality Caucus, which is, of course, dedicated to issues facing the LGBTQ plus community. And today, we're here to talk about where those two intersect, and particularly related to the landmark Equality Act. And there's nothing special, quote unquote, special about the protections created in the Equality Act. The Equality Act really adds to the existing federal protections that we have for individuals already based on race or sex, religion, national origin. And it really helps to ensure that everyone is treated equally under the law, because I think, if everyone here agrees, but most people agree that nobody should be denied housing or the ability to attend school or apply for a mortgage, to serve on the jury. I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't want to serve on a jury, I don't know, but but you shouldn't be denied that because of sexual orientation, gender identity, any of that sort of thing. So, when I was elected, I was elected by the people of the 3rd District in Kansas to represent their voices, our voices out here in Washington. And at the same time that I can represent a district in Congress, in my own state, I can also be turned away from renting an apartment, seeking medical attention. And I think that in and of itself demonstrates one of the huge problems that we're facing. So we know that people recognize this as wrong, but we also know that people are starting to recognize inclusiveness as having broader benefits to our economy. An inclusive economy is a successful economy. And the Equality Act provides consistency, clarity in the law, which is consistency and clarity is highly valued by businesses. So if the Equality Act is passed into law, millions of people in the country will be protected from discrimination based on sexuality or gender identity. And as we work to continue our economic recovery from the pandemic, we know that this can have a major impact on the ability of businesses to hire and retain staff, lend and invest their money to spur economic growth in our local economies, and ensure that everybody is included in our recovery. So I'm really glad that we're talking about the Equality Act from the business and economic perspective today, because I do think that sometimes an inclusive economy is overlooked. So thank you to the Freedom and Opportunity for All Coalition for convening the discussion. And I'll stop here because I think I'm going to do a couple of questions.
You are, and I just want to pause and thank you for your leadership on this issue. And I think you really in your remarks emphasized the need for federal protections, because I'm in a neighboring state and I'm protected, but yet I go to visit you in Kansas and have lunch, and suddenly the vulnerabilities are extreme. So thank you so much for your leadership and your very important insight. I do have a first question, and is that, can you tell us about small businesses in your district and what they need to thrive, and how does the Equality Act impact the economic growth of these communities?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that first of all, our small businesses, we know that small businesses are not only the heart of so much the heart of our communities, and that's across the country, but they're also like the heart of our economy, and these are the ways that the fabric of our lives is kind of woven together is through small business. Our small business owners, their innovation, their tenacity and grit, and ability to pivot. And they also were some of the hardest hit during the pandemic. And making sure that with bills like the American Rescue Plan, help, and the CARES Act before that, like the ability of the American Rescue Plan to get us back on track, that we know that, again, an inclusive economy is a successful economy. And if some of our small business owners are being left out of that recovery, it's really gonna make it that much harder for us to all continue to recover and get to a thriving economy. And I think that with the Equality Act promoting that equal and equitable treatment, whether we're talking about access to capital or just making sure that people aren't being turned away for discriminatory purposes, that is really going to make it so that our small business owners, no matter what community they're part of, are going to be able to be successful.
Thank you for that. I do have a second question for you. Can you speak more about how financial service organizations like banks have been adapting to meet the capitalization needs of small businesses? And what does the impact of credit access protection for LGBTQ people mean for entrepreneurs and bankers?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm glad you brought it up, because I do think that there's an often overlooked piece of this. When we talk about access to capital, this is one of the reasons that I wanted to be the chair of this the subcommittee on economic growth, tax, and access to capital. Partly because I really like saying like long committee names, and and partly because I think I've had the chance to see the way that making sure that, things like community development financial institutions, or CDFIs, or minority, minority depository institutions, or MDIs. It's all alphabet soup out here. But, these types of institutions often have relationships with our small businesses and communities that are left out of access to capital, or are traditionally left out of the conversation, really. We made sure, when we were talking about the American Rescue Plan, as we're talking about Build Back Better, I think that what we've been doing is trying to figure out, how do we make sure that institutions like CDFIs are funded and supported in a way that's going to fund and support our small businesses from communities like the LGBTQ plus community, people of color, veterans, LGBTQ plus veterans. I think that what we're seeing is an increased recognition that those types of institutions are really helping meet the needs of people who just have been, frankly, left out of the conversation for too long.
Thank you so much for that. I believe this concludes our Q&A with Representative Davids. Thank you for taking the time and for joining us this morning. and for talking about the importance of the small business community's role in supporting federal non-discrimination protections, and for your extraordinary leadership. We're deeply grateful.
Thank you. And thanks for inviting me. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Well, now we are joined by three roundtable participants we're incredibly excited to have. Linda Bodie, who is the CEO of Element Federal Credit Union in West Virginia. Hope Kennedy, the CEO of the North Tampa Bay Chamber in Florida. And Bob Goodman, who's the owner of Robert Goodman Jewelers in Indiana. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'd like to hand it over to Linda, please, and just welcome you. And if you can talk a little bit about why this is important to you.
Well, thank you, Calla. Once again, my name is Linda Bodie, and I'm the CEO of Element Federal Credit Union in Charleston, West Virginia. We provide banking services to individuals and businesses in our local community and throughout the state of West Virginia. I'm also a lifelong West Virginian. I've been here my entire life, and I'm also a member of the LGBTQ community. I've always been focused on equality for all in my personal and my professional life. At Element, we've been a leader in our community and our state with welcoming all, respecting all, and providing our products and services to everyone who visits us, regardless of who they are. And not only is it our mission, but it's also our passion to make sure that everyone feels they are safe in our space and in our community. We've taken these steps because we believe that all people should be treated with respect and fairness, and ultimately love. After all, we're one human collective, and when we don't take care of our entire human family, we can all suffer. Not all organizations are as safe and welcoming. Discrimination is painful and it hurts our community. That's why I and so many people like me in West Virginia are supporting the Equality Act. We need this legislation to ensure our friends and families have equal access to so many basic human needs, and it's simply the right thing to do. And now I'd like to turn it over to Hope for her introduction.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today. My name is Hope Kennedy, and I'm the very proud president and CEO of the North Tampa Bay Chamber. We are located as where it sounds in North Tampa Bay, otherwise known as Champa Bay right now. We're very excited to have that designation. We here at the North Tampa Bay Chamber are allies of the LGBTQ community. We are very much a leader in this space for our chambers of commerce around the state. We were recently recognized as a business of pride. It's very important for us in our organization to support this legislation to make sure that businesses of all sizes are welcoming and caring for all of our friends and family here in our state. Doing research for today, it was just shocking to find out that 29 states don't have protections for our friends. And we heard from the Congresswoman that you can go from state to state and not be protected. So for us here at the Chamber, we want to lead the conversation in education. This is a great way for us to do it. We're here, we want to learn from others, and we want to spread the word. So we are most certainly excited to put our name behind it and help get the word out about the Equality Act. Bob, your turn.
So my name is Bob Goodman. My wife and I own a small retail jewelry store in Zionsville, Indiana. And I've been in the jewelry business for 47 years. And few things have proved more important in our business than creating an inclusive space, one where everybody is welcome and invited in. We've owned this store for 20 years, as I think I said. And before that, I was in business with my father. We owned a chain of 11 jewelry stores. So I'm a third generation retailer. And when I started, the one thing that my father made clear to me as he put me out into threw me into one of our stores, was that anybody who walked in the store deserved to be treated, and they deserved to be treated equally. So that was in the mid 70s. So comprehensive in protections. And so we're allies. We are allies. So comprehensive protections that ensure the LGBTQ people can walk into a public space and be assured they won't encounter harassment or discrimination, they don't exist in Indiana. And that's why I'm calling on both Senators Todd Young and Mike Braun to not only support, but to vote for the Equality Act when it comes up in the Senate. The bottom line here is that discrimination is bad for businesses. Many businesses, large and small, have taken steps implementing non-discrimination policies covering both sexual orientation and gender identity. But without the Equity Act, the Equality Act, there is no federal guarantee that those protections are universal. We think it's time that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is updated to include protections for everyone.
Thanks all of you very much for those remarks. I'm going to open it up for the first question, which is all of you bring important perspectives here because not only are all of you small business leaders, but you all live in parts of the country where the Equality Act would be especially important to Bob's point. Given that each of your states don't currently have comprehensive non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people, speaking for your own experiences, can you please talk about how the Equality Act will help businesses and businesses across your state?
I can go first if you'd like.
Thanks, Hope.
Yeah, here in Florida, no one should be privileged based on their zip code. It should be something that's all around the whole country. And with the 29 states, and I'm sad that Florida is part of that doesn't have protections all around. It would make our state more competitive with economics and small businesses. And it's just very important to keep, like Bob said, to update this. It's a very antiquated civil rights, and it's very important for our state and for, like I said, our friends and our family.
Thanks so much, Hope. Bob and Linda, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, this is Linda, and I'll just add that in West Virginia, the lack of these federal protections it forces us to be a little creative and start passing legislation at the local municipality level, so there is some sort of protection. In West Virginia, we have about 15 municipalities that have been active in passing such legislation. So while it's protected, while people are protected in these cities and municipalities, there's still lack of protection in other parts of the state. So the need for the national legislation is critically important to ensure that we're all protected, and not just the places that can get their city councils to pass protections. But we are taking action, but we need to take further action and make sure this is a national legislative event.
Thanks so much, Linda.
It seems from
yes.
a business, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please, Bob, I was just turning it over to you. So perfect timing. Thank you.
It seems to me that from a business point of view, and again, in Indiana, we don't have comprehensive protections, that passing the Equality Act will make our state more competitive nationwide in terms of attracting people to come work here, and also it'll help in reducing the brain drain for people leaving because they don't feel welcome, they don't feel secure, and they don't feel that the laws are going to benefit them in terms of how they choose to live. So to me, it seems in terms of our own state senators who support small business, who are very strong supporters of small businesses, it's supporting and voting for the act is almost a no-brainer.
Thanks so much to the three of you. Our next question is one thing that may not be as clear to folks outside the business community is why ensuring non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people, like those included in the Equality Act, is so important to the small business community. It goes without saying that prohibiting discrimination is good policy for many reasons. But could you all share your thinking around why ensuring protections for LGBTQ people is good policy specifically for small businesses, and how do small businesses benefit from this? I'll call, Bob, can I have you kick us off, please, this time?
I mean, it's you're simply expanding the universe to the people who feel welcome to come into your store to purchase something. So it's common sense. It says if I don't exclude people, I have a better opportunity to increase my sales. So it's good. It's good for small businesses, and I think I don't know if this is actually an accurate statement, but from the readings I've done historically, small businesses have rallied to end discrimination throughout our history.
That's so true, Bob. Thank you for that. Linda or Hope, do you have anything to add?
I can add the fact that Florida is a tourism state, and tourism brings a lot of money into our state, and we would just have that much more if we had these protections. The inclusivity and non-discrimination protection would boost our competitiveness, like I said, with the skilled workforce, with tourism, with our economy output, and we could expect billions of dollars over the next 10 years to come back into our state with these protections.
Thank you for that very compelling point, Hope. That money always talks, and that's a very powerful point. Linda, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, from a banking perspective, there's still discrimination that exists. Financial inclusion, mortgages, you heard the Congresswoman speak with regard to that. So having these protections will help more people and more businesses obtain the credit, the funding that they need to keep their business moving, as well as the individuals in the community. Because the discrimination still does exist, and they will not get a loan. They will not get certain financial products and services, or they may get a lesser, more expensive loan without these protections. So it's vitally important to have this legislation to ensure that people can get the same access to financial services, and we can keep our individuals and our small businesses moving. And that's one of our focuses too, is to ensure that our small businesses and individuals know that we're open to all. And we want that to be across the board, because that's going to make our communities stronger.
Thank you so much for that. And then I have one final question for the group before we open it up. Some small business leaders have said that ensuring protections that guarantee employees are able to work in environments free from discrimination has a major impact in attracting and retaining a strong and talented workforce. How important do you think this is? And what have your experiences been with this? Have you seen other businesses struggle with attracting and retaining a strong workforce as a result of a failure to ensure protections from discrimination? And then maybe, can I have Hope, do you mind, especially I think the chamber can really speak to this, do you mind kicking us off for this?
Sure, I'm happy to. We have most certainly noticed in our areas these protections, and it's really on a personal level. It's these people that work for our businesses, they become our family, and we want to make sure that they are protected and they feel comfortable in our state, and so that we can retain. Florida is a wonderful, wonderful state. We have so many things going for us. This is the one thing that we could use to really keep our talent here when they go to school or bring them back. It's most certainly very important to our state.
Thanks so much, Hope. Bob or Linda, do you want to expand on that, please?
Yes, absolutely. This is an issue in West Virginia. We have talent that's leaving. We have young people that will not stay in the state. One of the reasons, because of discrimination, lack of protections, they want to go somewhere that they feel like they belong. We lose businesses for this very reason as well. We have businesses that won't locate here because of our laws, because of the lack of protection. So this is probably one of the biggest issues with regard to West Virginia retaining talent, attracting talent, and attracting new businesses to our area. And until we have those protections, people don't want to go where they don't feel welcome.
Thank you, Linda. That's such a powerful point. Bob, do you have anything to say about your home state?
I don't really think I can add anything that Hope and Linda have already said. It's different from what Hope and Linda have already said. I think they pretty much got it covered.
Thank you. Thanks so much for that. Well, now we'd like to open it up for any media questions.
Feel free, if you have questions for the panelists, to go ahead and use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we will pass those along. At this point right now, Calla, we don't have any questions, but we'll see if we have some pop up here.
Thanks so much, Lynn. Appreciate it.
All right, still not seeing any questions from anyone.
Well, I would like to thank everyone so much for participating in this. Hope, Bob, Linda, I really appreciate you taking the time and talking about your personal experiences as business leaders in your state. You made such compelling points, and they definitely resonated deeply with me. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Calla,
I would like,
Calla,
go ahead.
if I can interrupt you, we do have a question from
Sure.
one of our folks. Hope, how diverse is your chamber board?
That's a softball for me. Thank you so much for that. We have worked extraordinarily hard to make sure that our board of directors represents our business community, and we have a very diverse board. We are very pleased to say that our chamber is a baby chamber. We're only 25 years old. And this year, for the first time, we have our first openly gay board chairman that is representing us in many places. And so, again, we work very hard to make sure that our board has equality all over it, and that we are diverse.
Thank you so much, Hope. Lynn, are there any other questions?
Not at this time, Calla.
Okay, well, I would like to invite everyone to learn more about Freedom and Opportunity for All, the coalition that organized today's event and that's advocating for the passage of the Equality Act. For more information, please visit www.passtheequalityact.com. I just want to once again thank our panelists today, Hope, Linda, Bob. Thank you again for taking the time. We're very grateful.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.